Hey folks, it's Lisa with Swifty Travels, and I am back in my home state of New Mexico. And I don't know why it's taken me so many years to get out here, but I am finally bringing to you Chaco Canyon National Historical Park. This is one of the most amazing, most historically significant, and mesmerizing places you can visit in the Southwest. The official name is Chaco Culture National Historical Park, and it's located in the northwestern corner of New Mexico in a rather remote location. This is a protected site that was a major ceremonial, economic, and administrative center of the ancestral Pueblo people, and it was flourishing between 850 and 1250 AD. This was one of the most sophisticated civilizations in North America, demonstrating remarkable achievements in architecture, astronomy, and social organization. This location was part of a greater network in the Chacoan culture through the San Juan Basin, with over 150 great houses and settlements that have been connected by an extensive network of ancient roads. Now, if you're not familiar with this, a great house is a massive multi-story public building that was a structure unique to Chacoan culture. Pueblo Bonito was one of the largest and first to be built, and it's located here at Chaco Cultural National Historical Park. Archaeological studies have actually shown that, given how large it is, there was a surprisingly small number of people that lived here. Based on materials found, it has proven to be a major trade route from Mesoamerica in through this area. There's an incredible video with a lot of fascinating science and history behind the studies of Chaco Canyon. I will have that link in the description box if you'd like more detailed information. Now, we have made a day trip here today, so I'm going to show you what you can do in one day coming up here. We drove up from Albuquerque. It's about a 3-hour drive. And at the end of the video, I'm going to have 5 tips for you if you plan to visit up here, so you're going to want to stick around to the end. The site is well protected due to its remote location, and it has a visitor center, a campground, and a 9-mile loop with several great houses that you can explore. I recommend you start at the visitor center to learn all about it. This is also considered a dark sky park. There is an observatory, and occasionally they do have ranger-led programs. Now I'm going to show you what we chose as the most interesting sites to visit since we only had one day. All right, that way to Pueblo Bonito. We will get there shortly. And this way to Chetro Ketl, the Chacoan Great House. Now I remember that these two were especially interesting. Now Chetro Ketl is the second largest Chacoan Great House. It can be accessed by the same parking lot as Pueblo Bonito, so you park once and you can check out both of these ruins. Now, Chetro Ketl covers more than 3 acres. It contains a beautiful great kiva and elevated kivas. So they pretty much direct you through a one-way loop through the ruins. It's a little bit of a hike, maybe 1/10 of a mile, 1/4 of a mile from the parking lot to the ruins. It's interesting to pay close attention to the masonry. And the different structures here have different types of rock masonry. It's pretty incredible that they have really stayed the test of time here. As builders constructed second and third stories, they created an elevated plaza in this area that stands 12 feet above the canyon floor. It's amazing to me what incredible condition these structures are still in. Now, they don't want you going inside right in this area, but you can see all the different rooms in this structure. And then it goes way over here. Oh, here's a giant kiva. Now these kivas were special ceremonial spots that you'll find at these Native American sites. And wow, this one is really grand. That's pretty incredible. So here at Chaco Canyon, there's several trails that go in and amongst these ruins where you can get a really close-up look at the structures. And then there is a path up on top of the cliff where you can look down over the structure. So hopefully today we'll get to look at the overlook for Pueblo Bonito. We'll see how we're feeling, what time we get there, but that's something that I haven't done before that I'd love to show you. Now this says, do not go past the sign. Oh, it's just a little tiny room here. There's this nice wall here and another view of the kiva. Now these kivas typically had a roof made out of timber. At least that's what I've seen in the past. But seeing these structures up close is really special as well. There's a whole series of kivas here. Really like the vantage point right here of like the different levels. And all these little like windows and doors are so small. Hey, there's somebody waiting on me there. I guess I'm got off trail a little bit. Got to go down through here. It actually makes you feel like you are walking through the house. And here it tells you the trail is this way. And you get to go through. If only these walls could talk. Now here at the end, you can turn to the right, and there are actually petroglyphs on the wall straight ahead. Now, let's see. I'm gonna get a close-up shot of those. All over this wall, if you stop and look closely, you can see some faint inscriptions. And I forgot to mention it, but they do have porta potties over there at these parking areas. And of course they had restrooms at the visitor center as well. So now we're gonna head over to Pueblo Bonito, and don't forget a big old hat like this when you come here, because that sun is direct and it is hot. If you only have time for one stop, this is the one to see. Pueblo Bonito is the most thoroughly investigated and celebrated cultural site in Chaco Canyon. This is the largest of all the Chacoan great houses, with about 650 rooms. As we approach this site from the right, you can see evidence of a huge rockfall that occurred in 1947. A huge section of the cliff behind Pueblo Bonito collapsed, sending an estimated 30,000 tons of rock crashing down into the back section of the Great House. The rockfall damaged about 60 rooms in the northern section of the structure, and as you walk around to the site, it's pretty amazing to see. The cliff faces here at Chaco Canyon are largely comprised of sandstone. It has natural fractures and joints. Another rockfall actually occurred in July of 2023 at the campground and closed 5 campground sites. Archaeological evidence suggests that Pueblo Bonito was the first great house that was constructed in Chaco Canyon, making it the prototype for later great house architecture. This trail through Pueblo Bonito is 0.6 miles round trip. It's graveled and climbs several short, steep rises. Now don't skip this part because this area allows you to walk inside the structure and it is so incredible. That's cool. Yeah. And we almost missed it. Now we're headed to find the Overlook that overlooks the massive site of Pueblo Bonito. This is where you get those incredible images overlooking the Great House. The access point is at the end of the loop, and then you have to hike from there. So we want to basically hike to the Overlook. Now, Pueblo Alto Trail is an entire loop, but basically we're going to go up and we're going to turn right and follow the rim until we can get to the Pueblo Bonito Overlook, and then we're going to come back. The entire loop is 5.5 miles. Then there's even a longer, oh, there's another trail up there that's 7.5 miles. We're not doing those major trails. We're just going to go to the Overlook. I really want to see the Pueblo Bonito from above, where you can overlook the whole complex. It always looked amazing, and I haven't made it up there.
That trail is 2 miles.
So they told us at the visitor center that to the Overlook and back is roughly 2 miles. We have to go up ahead, and then we have to go up onto that ledge, and then we will follow the ledge to the Overlook. Just keep turning right on all the hiking trails. If you're really interested in this Overlook, but you're not an experienced hiker, you're going to want to watch how you get up there. Okay, so make a right at the ruins. You come around here, and then there's signs, and as you can see, these guys are headed up there. Again, don't underestimate the heat. Okay, here we go. This is 1.5 miles round trip, but I don't know, they were telling us 2, so we'll see. Oh my gosh, I just need a walking stick. Oh my Lord, let me tell you, that trail was unexpectedly difficult. It was a rock crawling up a pretty tight crevice. I mean, it was wide enough to go, but I was not prepared for that. So I had to put my cameras away, but a couple of safe spots I grabbed a little bit of video footage here and there. So just be prepared for that if you want to come up here. It's short, but you got to basically scramble on a lot of rocks. And it's real steep, but I think the views are going to be pretty cool. And then once you get up here, it's flat, and there's a few signs kind of pointing the way. We're basically just following the ridge to the Overlook. It's a little reminiscent of some of the hikes up in Utah, and since it is this part of the country, these geological formations are pretty similar. Here we are at the Overlook. So as you can see, it's Chaco Canyon. This is a canyon surrounded by cliffs. This long and skinny canyon. Sometimes we wonder if that's why they chose to build in this particular spot, because all their ceremonial kivas are circular. Maybe there's something spiritual about being in a circular canyon. Me and my husband have talked about that in the past. Sparks a lot of curiosity. While it was quite challenging, we did really enjoy the views from up there. It was quite spectacular. So there's just one more stop we're going to take you to for a quick look at an amazing kiva before I get into the valuable tips for visiting this canyon. Looks like they want you to sign in on all the trails. So the last trail we're going to do today is we're going to go up and visit the Great Kiva here at the Casa Rinconada community here. It's a great kiva between 1075 and 1250s. So this site has a lot of structures, even out into the distance there. And we've been there before, and we're just here today for a one-day trip, so we're probably not going to walk all the way out there, but we wanted to see the kiva up this hill. And let me tell you, I'm pretty sore from that last hike up those rocks. And the desert is surprisingly green as well. That's nice to see. Okay, so now I'm going to start 5 tips for you when you want to come and visit Chaco Canyon. Now, I have managed to find a spot with some amazing shade. Now, this is very hard to come by in this park. I am actually sitting outside the visitor center, and there are 2 picnic tables with shade. There was one other picnic table with shade at the very end of the Loop Drive. Other than that, you are not going to find any shade in this park. What you need to know is it's a pretty high elevation here at Chaco Canyon, and it's bright blue sky. So the sun is extremely direct. If you're not used to being at high elevation, you can sunburn very easily. And it is late September. I'm gonna guess it's in the low 80s, but it got really hot on our hike. When you're in the direct sun and you're hiking, it gets really hot really fast. So just be aware of that. Bring shade, bring hats, bring sunblock. And if you're planning to camp, you're gonna wanna bring a shade structure because again, there is no shade. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about getting here. Now, it was about a 3-hour drive from Albuquerque to come up to Chaco Canyon. We drove on 550, and there is a 21-mile road, and about the first 6 or 7 miles is paved, and then it turns into a gravel road. And it's fine, it's flat, it's level, it's nothing to worry about. I don't have a 4x4 vehicle. But the last maybe 3 miles before you get to the park, there are some rough spots. There's some very rough washboard type road, and then there was just some lumpy spots where you have to go really slow. There's also an area that can get washed out if there's flash floods. So you're really going to want to pay attention to the weather. This isn't really a place you're going to want to visit if there's a lot of rain expected. Now, if you're interested in approaching from the west, it can be done. I was here years ago, and we were planning to leave that way. And there was a sign, unfortunately I don't have a picture of it, but it did say like that the road can be impassable at times, so to use caution, but it looked like a sunny day. There wasn't any rain that I knew of, and all of a sudden the road turned to complete peanut butter. Our tires just started to slide. The car started to hydroplane. It was a dirt road, but literally it was like peanut butter. Now, we almost slid off the side of the road, and I can't believe it, but there was a guardian angel in a VW bus that had stopped and parked, and we're kind of waiting for the road to dry out, and he came out and helped us. He had some metal boards, I think, that we were able to put behind the tires to get ourselves out. So we turned around and came back the other way. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't look like a rough road, but I'm telling you, there was just like a puff cloud that must have dropped a little bit of rain because it was a sunny day, and it caused the road to be completely impassable. So keep that in mind and plan accordingly to the weather when you're coming out here. This area is very remote. There's no cell service out here, there's no hotels, there's no restaurants. So you're gonna wanna bring your snacks for the day, bring your lunch for the day, and don't plan on finding an open campground. They often sell out, so you're gonna have to plan ahead if you come here, or plan to get a hotel in Farmington or Aztec or you can make it a day trip from Albuquerque. Sturdy shoes are recommended. Now, if you're just planning on staying on the trails and looking at the structures, you are going to be walking in dirt, but there's nothing too concerning to worry about. But if you plan to hike up to the Overlook at Pueblo Bonito, you're going to need some very sturdy shoes because there's pretty slick rocks up there, so you're going to want to have a good pair of hiking shoes with you. And on that note, the trail up to the Overlook was pretty rough. We were rock scrambling up a very small slot canyon, so you need to be prepared for that. If you have bad knees or bad ankles, you may not want to do that. One other tip, don't miss going inside the structure at Pueblo Bonito. As you do a loop up and around the structure, right before you get back to the beginning, at the end of the loop, there's a turn-in, and you can go inside and you can go in all the rooms of the structure. That was so exciting, but it's easy to miss. We almost walked right by it. All right, if you're short on time, I suggest Pueblo Bonito, and then if you can also walk to Chetro Ketl. That's a pretty, both of those are really neat structures. That's really the highlight of the stay, and then if you have time, there's a really cool Great Kiva on the return loop back, and it's pretty close to the road. You can stop there as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.